Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is kind of a special episode of the Piracy Show because it actually deals with piracy. Now, recently again, I believe it was the Canadian Will asked the question, why do you have so many non-combat ships in your lineup? Don't you think, with people obviously hunting you, aren't you going to be, at a disadvantage if you're flying around in a non-combat ship? Ships like the Caterpillar or the Reclaimer. Yes and no. But I think to properly explain kind of my whole philosophy behind the fleet that I've chosen and overall my tactics or my approach to piracy in general, I think I have to show a couple of video clips to kind of explain where my head is at for how I plan to do this in the Star Citizen universe. Now, the first clip is from what I think is a criminally under-regarded film. And hopefully we're not going to get a copyright ding, but I'm just going to show a little snippet of it to kind of give you an idea of where my head is at.
In actual fact, Mr. Bigney and I did make one very interesting find.
Is that right? Let me guess. A stick?
Tell him about it, Mr. Bigney.
It's a rare phasmid, sir.
A phasmid?
It's an insect that disguises itself as a stick in order to confuse its predators.
Now, next up, I'd like to play a clip for you from 10 for the Chairman, episode 57 from March 23rd, 2015.
And all the rest stuff, but whatever we call our commercial release. So next question comes from Jagger, who asks, with different electronic systems that are throughout the universe, will there be the possibility for ship spoofing? For example, masking your own single to represent a different ship. There's definitely, we've already talked about the fact that ships broadcast an ID, and we know that ships broadcast sort of signatures, which can be, electromagnetic or heat or cross-section. We've also talked about the ability to sort of hide your ID. So if you've stolen a ship, you can maybe get your ID changed or spoofed. So I definitely think there will be systems out there that will allow you to potentially have a signature that would look like a different kind of ship, and that could be pretty useful. For instance, you can have a signature that can maybe make you look like a freighter, but you're not, as a trap or something like that. So that's the sort of stuff longer term as we sort of flesh out the signature and the scanning system that we will definitely have in the game. Next question comes from the White Knight.
Now, Chris Roberts has elaborated since, and I think there's even been a couple of 10 for the producers at one point where they discussed this. And they talked about, spoofing IDs in higher security systems. It's going to be a lot harder to do, and the police are going to have, special equipment to scan through that, to spot you and to tell, okay, this guy is smuggling. But in lower security systems, you should be able to kind of get away with this. But there's obviously, if you're spoofing IDs, you're stealing, some kind of electronic information to then go and then use that on your ship. Well, you're going to need probably a particular tool for that. And that's where our good friend the Herald comes in. So when I'm going out, and hopefully that's, going to be one of the functions of this ship, is to be able to go out there and hack and steal different ship IDs so that I can kind of keep rotating through different identifications on my ship, and also, having the ship with me allows me to jam signals, so I should be able to get away with, pirating without, the ship being able to signal other players or other NPCs for help. Now, of course, this raises, another issue, which is kind of the old expression, don't shit where you eat. And, obviously having a YouTube channel kind of complicates that a little bit further, because there's going to be a certain amount of visibility that comes with that. And so, on the one hand, when you look at the Star Citizen universe, every one player is supposed to represent, 1/10 of the population. So, I mean, in a system like right now, like where we're in Crusader in our little corner, you know, there are no real NPC ships that you just see going back and forth, doing their cargo thing, doing that. I mean, there's the police, and then there's the pirates in the system, but they just randomly appear and then disappear. So, you know, I don't think that that's in any way a representation of a fully populated and living, breathing Star Citizen star system. So that it's, suffice it to say, there's going to be a lot of ships out there, so finding a ship with a spoofed ID from long range is probably going to be a little bit like looking for a needle in a stack of needles. So on, you know, for that, I'm not too worried, but the problem then becomes attacking other players. Because eventually you're going to piss too many people off, and you're not going to be able to go out and do anything and make any money, because everyone's going to be looking out for you to basically kick your ass, right? So, and then again, having a YouTube channel, I mean, do I really want to be posting videos of, you know, me stealing from other players? Is that really a good idea? Now, you have to remember that Star Citizen isn't like a traditional MMO. I mean, like, let's say I'm playing World of Warcraft, I'm in a world PvP zone, and I happen to stomp on somebody with my rogue. They just resurrect at a graveyard, and they go back about their business. No real big deal there. But in Star Citizen, it's kind of different. Because even though, let's say, someone has insurance on their ship, they may not have insurance on their cargo. They may not have insurance on all their components. And so stomping on another player like that could leave them feeling particularly salty. And the problem is when there's a lot of people out there that you've stomped on, they might make it their mission in life to kind of hunt you down and, you know, fuck you up for what you did. And to me, that doesn't equate profits. You know, that sort of stuff just adds to the complications of me being able to make money being a pirate. So how do I resolve the two? A lot of this kind of comes back to the world server and the overall architecture of Star Citizen as it's been described to us. Now, I was looking for the clip, but I couldn't find it in time. And it was Tony Zurovec and Chris Roberts talking about the world server. The server that generally governs the Star Citizen universe. Let's say Station A requires more iron for refining, then the game, you know, the world server generates missions to deliver iron to that station, but it also creates, you know, NPC missions where NPCs are delivering iron to that station. And if those ships go missing, the price of iron goes up, and that's kind of the living, breathing Star Citizen universe. So what if I'm the guy that makes those NPC ships disappear en route to their destination? Well, that kind of gives me a couple of things. One, it allows me to play around with, you know, in a way, sort of stealth gameplay, because I'm always hiding my ship ID, changing my ship ID. I've got the Herald out there jamming the distress signals of those ships. You know, I get to move, I get to, develop tactics on how I'm going to stop them en route, but like, how do I kind of leave players alone, and how do I kind of resolve a lot of questions? I mean, that shit is going to be very, very interesting to me, and that's going to be very much what I'm looking for. Is like, when I'm thinking about piracy, I'm thinking more like, you know, someone doing things by a stopwatch, you know, do this, do that, do this, you have 30 seconds to get it all done before the police show up, blah, 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 blah. That's the kind of gameplay that I'd be more interested in, you know, messing around with my ship IDs, that kind of stuff. Whereas, you know, if I'm always constantly running from players and not able to do any of that, then that's not really fun for me. And if the price of commodities goes up in a system, or all of a sudden players find a nondescript planetary station that's selling Hull E components previously enjoyed Hull-E components with very few blaster holes in them at a bargain basement price, then perhaps that becomes more of a symbiotic relationship. Now, is that exactly how it's going to work out in the Star Citizen universe? Probably not. But I think, switching ship IDs, constantly hiding the ship, that's going to add a lot of layers and a lot of fun to the gameplay. That kind of, in a way, sort of a stealth element is going to be very interesting. I think that's going to be very rewarding. And it should give me the right level of protection, I feel, from people who will just, for whatever reason, just seek me out just because it's the internet, and it'll be that way. So I think that's going to definitely kind of give me the ability to play as a pirate, but at the same time minimize my risks of being hunted down by the space justice warriors of the Star Citizen universe. And who knows, I mean, depending on where I choose to do this and how I choose to do it and how overall the game systems develop, maybe that will allow me to still participate in some of the broader Star Citizen experience without having to quote unquote pay the price of being a pirate. So overall, that's kind of my philosophy behind how I've built my fleet and some of the selections of ships that I've shown. That pretty much in a nutshell is my approach. Once again, pending game design decisions and further information coming out from CIG relative to these systems, which is something that I'll be very excited to talk about once they're in the game. But once again, patience. Anyways, that was the little special show for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.